Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 138. You got Big Box Steve on the mic, Big Smooth, and Fresh Wes at the command center. So big week this week, a lot to talk about. Had the college football national championship. We are in divisional round of the NFL playoffs. All kinds of fun news around the NFL coaching news. There's a lot of potential coaching moves already. So a lot to talk about this week, but I wanna jump into college football first. So let's get into this national championship game. First of all, we got a lot of comments and a lot of people watching their videos, and we were wrong, right? Ryan Day pulled it out.
Well, let's get it straight. A
Well,
lot of
hold on. Chip
Ohio
Kelly or
State
Ryan Day?
Yeah,
fans.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's back this up here.
we'll get into that. Let's get into that. But the reality is now Ryan Day is a national championship head coach. Like regardless of how they won it,
Yeah.
and that first let's just talk about Chip Kelly. I think he really carried them through the playoff, right? Did a great job with adjustments and play calling, especially on those third down play calls, mixing up against Oregon. But Ryan Day obviously is the head coach. But how much did it help him to have Chip Kelly and what Chip Kelly did in the playoffs?
Well, if we look at the playoffs, no offense was like Ohio State at all. And no one did to Notre Dame what Ohio State did to them, right? We're watching the game, you're like the first drive, and you're like, oh man, Riley Leonard, they're pounding it. Okay, now the defense is going to come and, pound them in the mouth. And then it was like, nope, Ohio State's just going to roll right down the field. Three and out, roll right down the field. Oh, we have no issues with Notre Dame's defense in the first half. Roll right down the field. And that's what we were talking about when we were wrong and picking Notre Dame is because we thought Ohio State would jump out early, but we thought Notre Dame would weather the storm. But it was just
Leave it.
they went too much early. And I mean, what? It's 21-7 at half, and then they got the ball back, and then Ohio
Yeah.
State got the ball in the start of the second half. So it was no way.
Yeah, Ohio State first half did a good job moving the ball. Notre Dame's defense is pretty good, and that's kind of, I think, a tribute to Chip Kelly. He didn't overutilize his players in any way. He got Tate involved and Ekuba involved, and mixed up the run pass. Didn't all just go Jeremiah Smith and Judkins. Moved the ball around a lot to a lot of different players, which I think made it hard for Notre Dame. What are your thoughts, Wes, on Chip Kelly and the way he coached for the offense in the playoff?
Well, he knew he had advantages on pretty much like what do we want to do? It's like he had advantages. Like Judkins, I mean, how many touchdowns did he had?
3 touchdowns?
Yeah. It's like, okay, you're gonna roll up on Ryan Williams. Like, okay, we'll just give it to this 5-star guy. Like, how many more 5-star guys did they have? Like, and Notre Dame, their defense didn't look very good at all because you're playing against guys that are elite at every level.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and what's this do for Ohio State going forward? You think about they're already getting these recruits, right? And now you win a national championship. Oh, there goes Wes. Uh, how does that help their recruiting going forward against teams like Penn State, Michigan, Oregon, now that in the Big Ten?
Well, I mean, hasn't it been Ohio State for the last 10 or so years as the team that gets the best recruits in the Big Ten?
Right.
I mean, besides when everyone has, short-sighted, and they're like, well, because Michigan has beaten Ohio State, what, 4 years in a row, right? But before that, remember, like before that, they were like Harbaugh's going to get fired from Michigan, right? because Michigan couldn't beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
So it's an ebb and flow. That's a rivalry. Like people are gonna say, oh well, Ohio State won the national championship this year. It doesn't matter that they lost to Michigan, which is true. But they've always been, I mean, think about it, them or LSU is wide receiver U, right? In the
Yeah.
last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, Ohio State wide receiver wise has put out some pretty incredible talent, to the NFL. But you look at now, Jeremiah Smith is in there, I saw, yeah, stat if you watch the game where Ekba, he broke the record for most catches, most receptions, for an Ohio State receiver. Considering you just had guys like Garrett Wilson and um,
Jackson Smith and Jigba,
yeah, and Jigba, and then the third
Marvin
guy too,
Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Yeah, and then plus the Saints guy, Olave.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and if you don't, Chris Carter.
well, yeah, yeah. That's going back a while, but recent years they've put out some really good wide receivers,
Right.
and
Well, they had Jamison Williams before he transferred to Alabama.
right. I think it does still help them though now that you win that national championship because it's Ryan Day's getting over the hump, right? He's obviously going to keep his job when he was under fire, and so you get another at least 2 3 years out of him, and guys are going to want to come there. They're going to want to have a chance to win a national championship, go to the NFL, get a good look on a team like that. So that's
Well,
good for
especially
Ohio State.
what they did to Oregon, who was supposed to be the competition, and they just annihilated them in the
Yeah.
playoffs. If I'm a recruit and those are the two schools recruiting me, I'm like,
Well, that's kind of the point I was thinking about is, how that really hurt Oregon to lose that game the way they did on top of it, right? Because that's kind of how you would think that these recruits are going to think about where I want to go in the Big Ten. Um, Penn State, they had a good showing, even though obviously they lost, but it was good for them, I think, to get to the Big Ten championship, win a game in the playoff. I think that'll help them going forward as well.
well, I mean, they got both running backs and all are back next year. So,
Right. Yeah, so that's good. But it does hurt Oregon, right? I think Oregon probably took the biggest hit in this playoff. They already lost a lot of good players last year.
mhm. Well, yeah, the
And
question is now who's going to be the quarterback because Beck went to Miami, Ewers went to the NFL. So is it going to be Dante Moore?
right, or potential another transfer.
Yeah, but there's none out there that are like, you know what I mean? Last year it was Cam Ward, Gabriel, Dante, or Will Howard, Riley Leonard, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of good transfers. So maybe this is a rebuild for Oregon quarterback wise.
right? Because isn't the Liberty quarterback, he went to Colorado.
Yeah. So the game in general, how surprised were you with, Freeman? I personally think that he made some bad decisions, coaching wise in this game where that surprised me because I think Freeman's a good coach. Did the moment get to him? Was he overwhelmed? Did he make some coaching mistakes?
Well, it's hard to say when you're down early like they were, you kind of have to take more risks. And for me, what I saw, it was just, and it's just the little things. It was getting to the receiver running back with the ball and not tackling him where they got it. It was more like they got it and then they got 3 or 4 more yards right after that. And that's what killed Notre Dame because that's what happened.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
There we go. Back.
What do you think, Wes?
Um, I don't know. Like, I think Notre Dame was outmatched in the first place, but at the same point, it's like they came back. Like, I was mad they were down 20-7, but they actually had enough talent to come back. I just think they don't have the minds like you actually have some receivers. Why don't you get innovative? Why don't you know they they seem like they just want to run Riley Leonard up right up the middle, and they couldn't do that. And like now we don't know what to do. It's kind of crap.
They didn't really use Fajon a lot either. I don't know if he was injured, but
But what about Love? It's like you have 11 minutes left in the game. You're down by 16 points. You know, it's a touchdown 2 point conversions. And Love, you're not using him at all. It's like you can't run the ball.
no. I mean, he only rushed for what, 4 yards?
Yeah. It's like that's your best player, and you're just gonna give up on the run game that much. No.
Well, they didn't utilize him all game, and obviously, I think his injury doesn't help. But yeah, you have to mix it up, right? You had to run Love, 10, 15 times at least. That way it opens it back up for Riley Leonard because once they knew Riley Leonard was running the ball all the time, they were keying on it.
We're talking about this earlier. Their offense is archaic. Leonard can throw the ball. He can run the ball. They have a couple receivers that they're flyers. They can jump up and catch the ball. You have to be able to. It's like you don't know how to call plays. Offensive coordinator is like, this isn't 1990. You need to look at Chip Kelly. What he does with his best players. You know, you need to get you guys in open spaces, and they didn't do that. That's why they lost. They had a chance to win the game, but it's like, okay, first drive, let's run, Leonard up the middle every time, and he falls on the ball. He's hurt. You score. You can't do that whole game.
What about the field goal, the choice to go for the field goal? I mean, obviously they missed it, which made it even worse.
Yeah,
But you're down 16, you got the ball, obviously it's you get the fourth down, you're inside the goal to go. Why kick a field goal there?
because they didn't want to go for two. If you kick the field goal, they thought they had enough possessions left. If you're down 18-31, you're down by 13. Then if you score two touchdowns, you win the game. They
Right.
didn't have confidence in their 2 point game.
So, I mean, realistically though, yeah, you may not get it, right? If you go for it there on fourth down. If you do score there, their next score potentially ties the game with the 2 point conversion. Instead, they miss the field goal. They still get it back, score, get the 2 point conversion, and then have a chance to stop them again. So, my thought process, though, if I'm coaching that, let's say you don't get that fourth down. Now they're on the 9.
Yeah.
You have them backed up, even if you don't get it. And you still had 8, 9 minutes or whatever, left. I don't understand the field goal there.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I was the same thing. I was like, okay, you're gonna kick the field goal. Now you're down 18. You're down by 13. I get it, but that's his thought process.
Well, I mean, think about it. If let's just say if he, because in reality, he should have made the field goal, right?
Yeah, he missed it.
27 yarder.
Yeah. And so basically, then if we're thinking about that, without the blown play for where Smith is wide open on the blitz, Notre Dame would have had a chance to go down and score and win the game,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, if they
without having to worry about a 2-point conversion.
if they made the field goal, then got the ball back and then scored again like they did, then they would have had to get that hold. Yes, they come back with a chance to win. But if you score there on fourth down, a touchdown, now you're only down, 10. If you get 2-point conversion, you're only down 8 with 10 minutes and 8, 9 minutes to play.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if you miss it, they're backed up into the 9, which means they're going to run the ball. They're going to be very conservative, right? They don't want to turn the ball over. You're
Well,
probably going to punt right away.
yeah, it was bizarre. It's like, okay, you're down by two touchdowns and 2-point conversions. They're
But I
like,
mean, they did stop them after the missed field goal, so it's just
they
like if
did.
they would have gone for it on fourth down, because they did
Uh,
stop them, get the ball back, and
The
score.
reality was they're down by 8 points. They could have stopped Ohio State and they decided to do an all-out blitz,
Right.
and there's this Ryan Williams guy who's the
Right.
best
Jeremiah
receiver.
Smith.
And
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith.
okay, and you know you lose the game.
Yeah.
You know, those are the risks you take.
Well, and that's what I saw the entire game because I think Steve, you were pointing they need to blitz more early in the game. They couldn't get there on the blitz.
Yeah.
The Ohio State was picking up the blitz each time and giving Will Howard time to throw. And with those receivers, you can't leave them one-on-one. And that's what happened. They'd blitz and someone would be wide open.
Yeah.
Well, the that last one, right? So let's talk about that last play for a second, where they got the third down, right? Jeremiah Smith, 1-on-1. Nobody's going to guard him. 3rd and 10, though, right? They've been conservative the whole time. Why are you all out blitzing on that play? Like, make them get the 10 yards.
Well, why are you as a corner not playing like getting in like going deep? I mean, he just basically let him run right by him.
It doesn't matter.
It
Like,
wasn't even like it's not like he did a hitch or anything. He just ran
He
straight.
did.
there's no way single coverage that corner was covering Jeremiah Smith no matter what he did, right?
Unless he actually gave him a
Put
cushion and ran with him.
put 2 safeties over the top and make them complete a 10 to 12 yard pass and get the first down, right? That's because you're basically saying, I'm going to give you 1-on-1 with Jeremiah Smith against your corner. That's crazy. Why not make them earn that first down?
Well,
And if
they thought,
they get the first down, you still have the 2-minute warning, your timeout, and some
well, the
time.
problem is the blitz didn't get there. He had no pressure.
No.
Well,
Yeah,
it was an easy throw. If he had some pressure on him, he probably wouldn't have had time to make that throw.
that's the time that I'm saying that I wouldn't have blitzed. I wouldn't have blitzed. I would have dropped into coverage there and said, Will Howard, complete a 10-yard pass here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they should have. They should have just like, you know what? We're not going to do an all-out blitz on Will Howard because you couldn't get to him the whole game anyways. You know.
Yeah, it was just a weird. I think Chip Kelly also kind of knew that was coming.
Oh yeah.
So that was a great play call for him. So that's another one of those, hey, let's give Kelly a little bit of credit there on that play call. Overall, I mean, it was still a decent game to watch. It wasn't terrible. Yeah, Ohio State went out to a big lead, but Notre Dame made it interesting. At least it came down to that last drive. So not totally disappointed with that. But Derek brought up something, and let's talk about that for a second. Notre Dame not being in a conference, what
Well,
do they need to join a conference? Like,
yeah,
what's
they
the
do.
future look like there?
Yeah, they do. Crap. So so people don't realize this during COVID. ACC invited Notre Dame to be in a conference. They're in conference, right? And so when everything cooled down, Notre Dame decided, hey, no, screw you guys. we'll be on our own. It's like, no, like you weren't in a conference. They invited you to be in a conferences. That's the reality. No one's an independent. Like nobody's BYU. Nobody wants to be BYU. You know?
Well, Notre Dame's been BYU forever, though.
Yeah. But to sit there and ACC during COVID, they had no other options. So ACC invited them into the conference, and then when the pandemic ended, like, oh no, we're just going to be an independent again. They
Well,
need choice.
I'm sorry, the only way that Notre Dame will join a conference is if the football committee punishes them for not being in a conference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, seriously, they got $20 million. Everyone else had $20 million they had to share with the conference. Notre Dame got $20 million for
Yeah.
themselves. So it's like Notre Dame has no reason to join a conference.
Yeah.
The only way you get them to join a conference is if you're like, sorry, the conference championship and playing in a conference weighs heavier than
Yeah.
your independent schedule. But
Yeah.
it's not going to happen because Notre Dame has a lot more weight than people think.
Yeah. No one's going to force Notre Dame to do it. There's no college football control apparatus to say, you know what, you have to do it. No.
They play usually a pretty tough schedules though.
Yeah.
It's not like they're out there playing nobodies, they're
And they
playing tough schedules.
and they play about 4 ACC teams a year. So it's like they play the ACC.
Yeah, why not just join it, right?
Well,
Right.
yeah, but like at one point, they're playing Stanford and USC,
Yeah,
they're
they do play those pretty regularly, right? They
every
play
year. Yeah.
USC like every year, right?
They both of them every year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should join a conference, but you're right. That's one of those changes it's hard to make because they're Notre Dame.
Yeah. Well, then I understand the ACC because isn't that where the basketball team is actually in the
I
conference?
think they are in the ACC, yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
they
always
Notre
thought
Dame
that
is. Yeah.
the
Or are
Big
they the Big
Ten is
East?
where they should be.
Are they the Big East or are they the ACC?
There is no Big East anymore, is there?
Well, there's a Big East. It's like Villanova. Well,
Oh,
basketball,
right.
there's a Big
No,
East.
I meant in basketball, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
where
don't think
Notre Dame's basketball team is actually.
Well, I think it's ACC.
ACC?
they are ACC
Yeah.
Okay.
for
Yeah, so
basketball.
why not just join your football? Why not the football team just join?
Who knows? They're weird.
Because
Or
they got 20
maybe
million. Why would they need to do it? They get $20 million. They don't need to share.
Yeah, if they make the playoff.
Yeah. Or win a game, I think is, and it make it to the
Yeah. I mean, overall though, I hope Notre Dame would win it. I'm a little disappointed the way they played. It wasn't a horrible game, but it wasn't the best showing for Notre
no,
Dame either.
they left a lot on the field.
They
You
did.
go down 28-7, and what obsessed me about Notre Dame for a year, when in the '80s, the Rocket was my favorite player ever. I love those teams. They were fun to watch. You don't have skill guys, but they had enough skill guys to manage their way back. You
Yeah.
know, why didn't you do that earlier in the game? You think they're like Riley Leonard's gonna run up the middle the whole game, and your guys gonna win? That was nice on the first drive. It's not gonna work the whole game. You got to you have to utilize your assets, on offense.
well, and then maybe we don't know, but maybe Love wasn't
Maybe
health, because he was
maybe
hurt.
it's hurt, right?
And maybe he wasn't as healthy after, hurdling people and everything in the last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know he had the knee injury. He's wearing the brace, and
But they
but
barely ran the ball anyway.
that's the problem, right? They weren't very dynamic on their offense as far as calling a lot of different play calls. They were running a lot of the same stuff. And I think that's kind of testament to Chip Kelly, where he was mixing it up the whole playoff, even that game, running a lot of different schemes. So, I mean, that's it is what it is. Ohio State wins it. A little disappointed, but that's the end of the college football season. So let's move on to NFL. There's a couple other college topics we'll come back to, but so NFL playoff divisional round. Man, I mean, this was a disappointing divisional round for me. And again, here, I thought the Texans would play better against
Yeah.
Kansas City. So let's start there. Obviously, everybody, I've seen it all over social media, on the internet, everybody, the calls and the Chiefs calls. But the reality is the Texans, they just didn't play very well. And Kansas City didn't play great either. So they missed an extra point and two field goals? Or one was blocked and they missed a field goal and an extra point? So your kicking game, and how does Fairburn go from he's one of the best kickers in the NFL all year?
It's the cold. They said it on the broadcast.
Too cold.
Too cold.
Come on. I mean,
No, what? No. You're missing the point here. How does Travis Kelce get so open?
yeah.
That's ridiculous. Maybe you want to guard that Travis Kelce guys. I'm just like yelling at TV. I'm like, why is he so open?
And it's like in the middle of the field or in the middle of the end zone,
Yeah.
too. It's not even like on a sideline or anything.
I'm like, really?
Yeah. So
What is it?
do you think though Kelsey came to play a little bit more than he has up to this point? Like, is that something that, did he come out more ready to play this game and play a little better than he has?
Well, I think they call more plays for him in the playoffs,
Yeah.
right? Because they know he's going to catch you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know that everyone's gonna lock. They're locking up all the receivers, and they know the only hope is for him to scat around like he does and run those snake routes, and he gets open. That's what happened. No.
He definitely was a big difference, right? In the game. Getting first downs, having big plays when they needed it. Although Kansas City, did they do enough? Like, do they look good enough to go now and beat Buffalo? Like, how we said this a million times, they're still Kansas City until somebody beats them. It's hard to bet
No,
against
but
them.
here's the thing. Did we see all the calls they got? It's insane. That's stupid.
The
The crap that they got away with, it was like last year. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, of course they have a chance because they're going to get all the calls.
the unnecessary roughness on the slide, that was ridiculous.
Will Anderson actually trying to tackle a quarterback and you call a penalty on that? There's all sorts of things.
Well, and here's the thing, is people like to bring up the fact, well, statistically it shows the Chiefs only get like penalties in favor bubble. And I'm like, it's not about how many penalties you get, it's when they get called.
Yeah.
Every time it's like, oh, it's 3rd and 12. And then all of a sudden you get a
No,
holding
Yeah,
defense.
defensive holding.
Mahomes is running towards the sideline.
Oh, right. And he tries to flop.
And he stops. And he wants to draw a flag.
Right.
And the dude, and I love the dude. I don't even know who he did it. He's like, I'm just going to push you out of bounds. And they didn't throw a flag on that. But that shows you he is drawing flags.
Yeah, he's trying to get it.
Yeah, I know.
He's done with playing football. He's like, even in the pocket, the Will Anderson play, he's like, oh, my receivers suck. Travis Kelce is so enamored with some dumb chick. Okay, I'll just wait for my lap I'll just wait till the last minute. I'll throw the ball and I'll get a flag.
Hey,
Am I wrong?
the viewpoints of Wes are not the viewpoints of this podcast. So Swifties,
We're all
please,
Swifties here.
Wes, don't get us canceled here.
We're already canceled.
Um,
Well, you can't say anything bad about Taylor Swift, dude. That's like they'll come find you at your house.
Good.
yeah.
Good.
But
Isn't Caitlin Clark going
here's
to come to my house too?
Caitlin
Caitlin
Clark.
Clark going to come here? Are they going to make out in the fucking press box? We're going to. What is going on here, dude? This is the NFL, or is this somewhere weird, freaking bizarre? Like,
and
what
that's
is
the conspiracy theory why the Chiefs keep moving on. But here's my thing. It's like in one of these days, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get a lineman or something that's like, well, I'm going to get called for roughing the passer anyway. I better just level Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Hold on. Let's back this up one more second. Patrick Mahomes would have never lived in the 80s. Am I wrong?
Oh, no. He would have been.
Lawrence Taylor would have killed Patrick Mahomes. It would have been a wrap.
I don't even think of the 90s.
Or Richard Dent or Mike Singletary. The best one is Bill Romanowski. He would have made a mission to end his career. Am I wrong?
No, it's a
That's
different.
the way football is. They try. Here's the thing. The reason I say this is there was the last time there was a three-peat threat was the San Francisco 49ers in the late 1980s. They would have done it until someone killed Joe Montana in the NFC Championship game. Killed him. Buried him in the ground.
Yeah, it was brutal.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember that. Yeah, but you can't touch Patrick Mahomes.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're going to get called anyway, just make it count.
You might as well hit him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey,
Yeah, and
you're getting it when he's a runner. He wasn't
it's
even a
not
quarterback
just
at the time.
it's not just Mahomes though with the Chiefs. It's like you said, it's like a defensive holding on 3rd and 15. It's like an offsides, that's a questionable offsides after they, when they didn't get their convert, things like that. There's a lot of those calls.
Juwan Taylor, every single play.
Yeah, offside or false start every single time, right?
Yeah.
So the calls are at crucial times, So I think you're right, when you say because I've seen that statistic. The statistic is in the playoffs in the Patrick Mahomes era in the fourth quarter or whatever, there's like 48 calls against the opposite team, but there's 47 against the Chiefs. And so the amount of calls are the same.
It's just win.
Yeah, I think it matters. Like when are you calling these penalties?
The Raiders game at the very, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this conveniently go.
Well, that was even so, and there's a lot of those things too. What's the benefit for the NFL to have the Chiefs three-peat or to have the Chiefs be the team? Like how is the NFL benefiting from this?
The power couple. You know how many more people watch the Super Bowl because of someone up in the stands? Seriously, it's crazy.
Really? Is that what we're talking about here?
It's true.
They had a huge, yeah. I mean, she brings in a lot of viewers that normally wouldn't watch the game.
Yeah.
Is that though? Is that a benefit for them? Because I feel like before Taylor Swift, their Chiefs were still getting these calls.
Oh yeah. Well, it's predictive programming.
Is it the get rid of the Patriots dynasty and forget about Tom Brady, move on to Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes?
But don't you understand your model is so bad? If that team wins every year, why would you
Taylor Swift has generated an estimated $331.5 million for the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs since.
All right.
So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What are we talking about here? 2 + 2 = 4, right? Yeah. It's a wrap. I get it. That's fine. It's a different era of football. Someone has to go and take the trophy. When they do it.
the NFL viewership experienced a 53% spike among teenage girls.
Come on, really?
Yes.
Teenage girls don't give a fucking shit. They don't care about those people. They don't care about them. They care about their little Instagrams.
Well, they care about Taylor Swift because 50%.
Well, yeah, it's on the back. I don't know. They're very good at brainwashing. Congratulations. The rest of us just want to watch football. We don't care about all this crap. What was shocking to me is when they scored a touchdown and Travis Kelce's in the end zone and they pointed up to the press box and there's Taylor Swift, right? And there's Caitlin Clark. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, what is Caitlin Clark doing there?
I just wrote a poem.
Think about it. Like, why is she there?
Maybe they're friends. I don't know.
Really, Steve? Is that your answer? They're friends? They have so much in common, right?
Yeah. It's popularity, right? It's obviously doing it for a
Barbara
reason.
Streisand to show up. I mean, all of a sudden it's like an LA Laker game. Like, all the celebrities are gonna show up, right?
Yeah, and that's why they keep getting the wins.
Let's talk Buffalo, Baltimore. That was well, let's just start with the Mark Andrews drop. Yeah, it's cold, snow, that's a big drop though. I mean,
Well, we have not seen a Mark Andrews sighting since he dropped that ball. He's pretty upset about it. So
yeah. That was huge though, because obviously it's the 2-point conversion to tie. You go to what would be your most sure-handed player.
yeah. No, it was a bad play call. You should throw that to your skill guy. But Flowers is hurt. But throw it to, you're running that out route, and there's a lot of people that said, Jackson threw it a little bit late. But no, you're an all-pro. You have to catch that ball.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. You have to catch that ball.
It was a good play design. He was open, late or not, you're right. Like, it was in his hands. He's going running backwards. It's a hard catch.
He already fumbled because he's like, oh, I'm gonna make something. He fumbled the ball, number one. Yeah.
So did Baltimore. So Derek, you talked about this a lot and upset that Baltimore didn't run the ball, didn't, stay within their game plan. Did they stay within their game plan in that game?
No. Henry had 16 carries. If I'm in the playoffs, Henry's getting 30 carries. That's what you have him for. Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cold in the snow. And you're going to try and tackle Derrick Henry, and you give him 16 rushing attempts?
Dude, 16 attempts? Are you kidding me? You give him the ball until Buffalo gags. They're like, stop doing it.
Right.
Third quarter, how did they come back? They're down 21-10. Why? Because they're like, here's the ball, big beast. Here. And it wasn't enough. They should have done the whole game. And maybe Lamar Jackson
because in a playoff game that's cold and it's icy, that whole field is ice. That means Lamar Jackson can't be cool and cut around. He's limited. Derrick Henry is not. Here, go right up the middle. They got too cute.
Yeah, it's interesting because Buffalo, their offense didn't do a ton, right? They
No,
weren't.
they didn't do.
It wasn't explosive,
Josh Allen had 124 yards pass.
right?
They didn't.
Man, there we go. We're back.
And on the sideline, even Romo, I don't care about Romo, but he's like, man, he looks upset. You threw that interception. It's like a punt, but you didn't have to throw that interception. It was a bad interception. You allowed it to get in your head. And then the fumble, which was idiotic. It's like, hey, you got a bad snap, suck it up, you're going to take a loss. And he screwed up and he dropped the ball and he gave them field position and they went up. And in the ice, that whole field was a sheet of ice. You do that, you can't give up points like that. If they're in Baltimore and there's no weather, that's fine. He can come back.
So looking at Buffalo and Baltimore, the way they played, now they go and they're going to play Kansas City, right? So now Buffalo, obviously, but let's say it doesn't matter who it was, Buffalo or Baltimore. Are they the better team, or either of those the better team, or is Kansas City still the favorite?
No. Who would you rather play Kansas City to beat them? Because that's all I care about. I want Kansas City to get beaten.
Right. Well, I think we all do.
And when you think about it, what I was a little upset about is, Baltimore has a lot more tools than Buffalo to beat them.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, they got, it hurt them. Losing Zay Flowers hurt them a lot.
But
Buffalo, they
got
still got Josh Allen.
Weapons. It's not like they're a lack of weapons.
Not in Baltimore at all.
Yeah. Now you lose him for one game, he'll be back in the HSC Championship. But we're just going to go to Mark. Mark Andrews was a great tight end back in his day, but he's not a playmaker. You got to get the ball to your play. That's why I didn't like the last play. It's like, of course, he dropped the ball, but he's not the most athletic person in the world to throw the ball to in that situation.
But typically, he's a hands guy, right? He catches the ball. That's why
he's a red zone threat. Yeah.
Right. Especially in the red zone.
And I'm just going to go back to what always is my biggest thing. Hey, we'll get to this game, but the Eagles-Rams, what did the Eagles do? They gave the ball to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a thing. Saquon put up 205 yards.
Dude.
Maybe if you've given Derrick Henry 26 carries.
Watch all those games. What I love about all three of those, even the Detroit game, they're fun games to watch. And what was the least fun game to watch? The freaking Chiefs. Because, you just look. Oh, that's a flag. That's it. We just watched probably in the last 10 years, those 3 playoff games were pretty good.
I enjoyed all 3 games.
Yeah. They're fun to watch.
It was fun to watch those games. Well, let's pick because I want to get to the NFC. Let's talk about KC Buffalo. Do they have a spread on it out yet?
Yeah, it's 2 points.
2 points?
They moved up from 1 to 2 in the last 2 days. I'm sure I'll move up to 3.
The hatred for KC aside, who wins this game? Like, so who's going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC? Who wants to go
Kansas
first?
City.
Derek can go first.
It's got to be Kansas City until we get a game where the refs don't have some magical play that goes for KC. I mean, if I'm like last year, and it's not KC's fault, but the Ravens run the ball 6 times. It's like, dude, if I don't see James Cook and Josh Allen with a combined like 30 rushing attempts, I'm
Right.
gonna probably destroy TV.
Dude, I thought you were going to try to see if this last weekend, dude. I
Well, I was
about
watching the game on my phone. I almost destroyed my
Will
phone, but yeah.
Anderson, when he got that call on him, I was like, it's not fair.
Here's the problem. I don't get mad at it anymore because I already knew it was happening. I'm like, that's going to get called. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like, it was more like, yeah, I knew that would happen. And that's why it's not fun. It's not fun watching the games because you're like, well, it's kind of boring. Knew that
So
was happening.
you're rolling. Are you taking Kansas City then?
Yeah, until they show me that it's not going to be some weird stuff happening.
Yeah.
Got to take Casey.
What do you got, Wes?
Oh, you know me, Ed. I'm rolling with the Bills. I don't care. Let's go, Buffalo. Like, there's going to be weird stuff that happens, but I was watching First Take this morning, and I don't like to listen to Stephen A., but he was right. He's like, hey, it's about moments. We'll see how good Josh Allen is. But he started going through moments like quarterbacks, and he brought up the drive with John Elway. You want to talk about a moment? Like, I remember that as a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way Denver's winning this game. What did he do? Drove 90 yards down there. And that's what Josh Allen's going to have to do. I think.
And then the Chiefs get the ball back and two passes and get 60 yards and tie
because
because that's what happened. Josh Allen had his drive.
Negativity, Derek.
Josh Allen had his drive. And
it's
what
your
happened?
Negativity. It's your negativity that's bringing it down.
Rap, dude.
No,
go Bills. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, I think this is Josh Allen's moment, right? So our call is going to go against him probably, or go against the Bills. But if you're up 20 points, it doesn't matter how many calls go against you.
Wow.
So this is Josh Allen's moment to, elevate his team. He's got to throw the ball well. They have to run the ball well. They need a team effort, but he can't make mistakes. He has to run the ball on third down for third and short, right? He's got to pick those up with his feet. And he can't throw interceptions, and he can't take a lot of sacks.
And the thing about the last game is I think everybody knew, and that's why Lamar Jackson couldn't do what he did, is that field was ice. It was sheeted ice. And the only way to win, you got to run straight up the middle.
Yeah.
So that's why Derrick Henry should have 30 carries. I'd be like, here, just run the ball. Lamar Jackson can't do what he does. He can't run around. You got to run straight up the middle. And Buffalo, in a sense, got lucky. Baltimore should have won that game. They had 3 turnovers.
The Ravens are like a bear. They've got these claws and they don't know how to use them.
They are. They should have won that game. It's stupid. They lost.
And that's what's the sad part about the Lamar Jackson era, and I don't even think it's him. It's because the coordinators get so infatuated with him that they forget that, oh, we have other things too.
Yeah.
And in the playoffs, in the ice, in
You run the
cold
ball incredibly
temperatures,
well.
you run one of the greatest running backs of all time 30
Yeah.
times. You
Yeah.
don't just give it to him a little bit.
It's a wrap. The game's over. The Buffalo has nothing to. Buffalo doesn't have the talent. I don't really like Buffalo's talent on offense. It's all Josh Allen. And Josh Allen just like it's like John Elway versus in the 1980s. Like, okay, I'll just improvise here. It's like Baltimore is a machine. And for them to lose that game, that was hideous.
It wasn't a pretty showing, even though they were in the game till the end. But the point is, Buffalo still pulled it out, right? So they still win the game. Now they got to go to the AFC Championship. Um, I'm taking Buffalo as well because,
Oh.
and this is take away the dislike for Kansas City for a second. I don't think Kansas City is terribly talented either. Top to bottom when you look at them as a team. Yeah, Kelsey played a little better. They've got a couple good receivers, but nothing great. Running backs, Pacheco hasn't, he's not
No, he was gonna
dominating.
hit.
They're cycling in Hunt. All Buffalo has to do is, come up with some big stops in the first half. They're going to need to have some big third down stops in the first half, force some punts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they get the holding call. So here's the thing. This is Josh Allen's moment, and I think he's gonna capitalize this time.
I would much rather see Haley Steinfeld up in the suites for the Super Bowl when Taylor
Yeah,
Swift.
than Taylor Swift. So Derek's going Kansas City. Les and I are going Buffalo. Should be a good game,
I
though.
will tell you, basically watching the Kansas City Texans game ruined my weekend.
Dude,
Because
when you sent me that this morning, I got so depressed. I was like, this is the NFL now.
I was depressed the entire
I
weekend.
was like,
Every game, I was like, well, Detroit's going to lose now, and then Baltimore's going to lose.
dude,
And then I'm watching the
we haven't
national
even talked about-
championship. I'm like, Notre Dame's going to lose.
Yeah.
Oh.
Detroit fan.
Psych, Ben Johnson's going to the Bears. Everything was like,
oh man, and you're gonna get Pete Carroll.
yeah, it's like
Pete Carroll to the Raiders.
Or Robert Saleh.
Oh God.
Would you have Robert Saleh or Pete Carroll?
Oh man.
I don't think it's going to be Saleh.
They interviewed him.
Yeah, but they also interviewed Spagnola.
Yeah.
They interviewed
Saleh was probably a Rooney Rule.
Yeah, they interviewed Aaron Glenn.
No.
They interviewed the one I don't get, and I guess we'll get into later, but they didn't interview Liam Cohen. That's who I would have thought.
The Tampa Bay's offense coordinator. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's jump over to NFC though. Let's wrap up these playoffs. So this for me, let's start with Detroit Commanders, right? I think this was the biggest surprise of the weekend, obviously, for a lot of people. And when you look at that game, did the Commanders play well or did Detroit play bad? What happened?
This is the reason Ben Johnson went to the Bears. And you want to know why? He was like, I need a good quarterback wherever I go. Because Goff is not a good quarterback. He got kicked out of the Rams. And what did Goff do? Oh, in the biggest game of the last few years, he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that was his realization is like, oh, I need to go to a place that has a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson's good for them, right? Because they do have a lot of weapons.
And then the Jamison Williams. Come on, dude.
Throwing the interception. I mean, why are we doing that? Why are you running that play
And
at
throwing,
that time?
and then he thought he was Jordan Love because he threw it off with the back foot too. Like, dude, you're a receiver. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, I don't know what that play call that worries me, right? Because that's gonna be my new head coach. And you're running a end around pass. I mean, if you're up by 21, that's fine. Go ahead.
But you should know as a receiver. Oh shoot, I'm just gonna have to just try and make a thing out of here. I'm not gonna just huck it up in the air.
Well, he's not a quarterback.
Well, that's Ben
Uh,
Johnson be like, hey, if we run this play and
yeah,
it doesn't go the way we want,
throw it
you
out of
just have to
bounds.
run the
Right.
ball.
Well, what did the Commanders do though to force the turnovers? Like, let's give the Commanders some credit or try anyway. How did the Commanders? I mean, what they score? 40, 45
45, dude.
on
45.
a pretty good defense.
Well, sort of. Here's the thing. Uh, I'm not going to give excuses. Well, I'm going to give an excuse, but I'm going to say still that the Commanders deserve the win. How many starters on IR for the Lions defense is there? And I think it just finally caught up to them.
No.
Right. It's their injuries. You can't argue their injuries, but points against, them all year, they were one of the top teams as far as points allowed. I think there were definitely top 10.
Right, but I don't think they had like their top three corners. I mean, that's not going to help. And then they blitzed a lot, and Jaden Daniels just tore up the blitz.
Oh.
Now, I'm not, here's my thing. Did Detroit lose because both coordinators were looking at other jobs and concentrating more on interviews?
I mean, I think they would still want to win.
I know, but you're
It's
not putting in
distraction,
100% on the
right?
game.
Yeah. Well, their defensive coordinator. Yeah. When you think about it, it's like, oh, Detroit fan doesn't matter. They've never seen a Super Bowl because they're like the team that's never been to a Super Bowl. You know? Dude, can you imagine? I know a couple of Detroit fans. They're just devastated.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's just stupid. Like,
Well, now we're
that
going to find out how good of a coach Dan Campbell is because everyone's saying his coordinators are what, he's
Right.
a great
no, here's the
motivator.
thing. Dan Campbell he's gonna bring in new coordinators, and we're gonna find out what kind of coach he is. I'm still gonna say next year they're in the Super Bowl because
They have the team
they have the team. Dude, look at their team. Okay,
stacked.
we got Gibbs. I love Montgomery's my favorite player because he's a slasher. He'll be healthy next year. He just cuts in the middle, gives on the outside. Laporta, Jameson Williams, and then you have St. Brown is your possession guy.
And then you have Goff.
And I don't want to talk about Goff.
Exactly. That's the problem.
I don't want to talk about Goff. Dude, what are you talking about? Look who's their backup. He came in the game. Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy.
Well, Goff had a good year.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's the playoffs. You
Yeah.
got to perform in the playoffs.
Yeah. It was such a dip. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, you actually do that? Like,
Well, now you know why the Rams got rid of him.
Yeah. Three
Stafford
times
should have
now.
stuck it out.
Super Bowl with the Rams. He looked horrible against the Pats, right?
Yeah.
Last year against wasn't the Niners?
Yep.
And then this year, he looked bad in all of them.
they should trade him to Jacksonville. He might actually have a chance in Jacksonville. And then Trevor Lawrence could go to the Lions.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
Really?
speaking of Stafford, let's talk Philly, the Rams. My favorite game of the week.
Oh yeah,
It was fun to watch.
the snow game.
Yes,
Well, what was weird to me in that game, it didn't seem like the score, it didn't seem like a close game at all. But it was a close game. You know what I
right.
mean? It looked like Philly was going to win. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, the Rams still have a chance.
They're right back in it. Well, they also, they turned the ball over. That big fumble, sack fumble, later in the game that hurt a lot. But Saquon dominated, and that kind of you push that Derrick Henry narrative. Philly, they just said, you know what, we're just going to give it to Saquon and see what happens.
Yeah.
And what happened is he rushed for 200 yards. Granted, he had a 70-yard run though too, so that helps.
Yeah, 78.
Yeah, so that definitely helps the statistics. Uh, Here's a question that I've heard a little bit, and I kind of wonder the same thing. Would the Rams won that game if it wasn't a snow game?
No, because look at what Saquon did in the regular season
No.
for the Rams.
No, that was the narrative. Uh, they're saying after the game, oh yeah, we want to fumble the ball. No. Philadelphia on both sides of the ball is a superior team. The Rams, I love Stafford, but that catch by Puka Nacua,
I was sick.
that was stupid. I was like, they're gonna win now. The game's over. That catch, I was like, that was insane. But they're not. The Eagles are more talented and superior, and I guarantee you, Hurts, they could throw the ball more if they have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're not even seeing. Hurts is like, we don't even really need to
Yeah.
use him that
You're
much.
not even throwing the ball. Wait until they actually throw the ball. And I guarantee you, if they get to the Super Bowl, they're going to throw the ball. And they'll
Jeez.
be successful.
Man, what if it's Philly and Kansas City in the Super Bowl again?
Oh,
I told you that the other week. It was going to be Philly and Kansas City.
Oh, it is.
I said, watch, it's going to be Philly and Kansas City again.
It's going to be KC and Philly again.
That was my least favorite Super Bowl in a long time.
No.
Was the last time they played.
Yeah, but Jalen Hurts played out of his mind. If he wouldn't have that fumble, though.
Yeah. Well, Philly's a different team now.
Yeah.
Their defense is a lot better. You got Saquon now. The Rams, though, they had a good game. Like Kyron ran for 100, Stafford threw for 300, no interceptions. That fumble by Williams was a killer.
Oh, yeah. But it's like ice. That ball is just a big ice ball.
Well, yeah, theirs was a true snow game.
Yeah. And
because it came in about halfway through the first quarter, started coming in, and it came down like crazy for a while there.
Gotta love playoff snow games. We've had a lot of snow games this year. It's been
Yeah. Well, the East Coast is getting hit hard.
But that's the thing is usually they'll be like, oh, it snowed and there's 20 feet of snow here. But guess what? We've shoveled everything off. And then you have a game with no snow. And this year it's been, the snow's coming during the game. You can't do anything about it.
I guarantee you the snow altered Baltimore's, their destiny. When the field's ice, and it's Harbaugh's fault. It's not Lamar's fault. Did Lamar play his best game? No, but he still played pretty good. Lamar has elevated his game. He looks a lot better as a passer now. He looked like crap a couple years ago. He looks a lot.
What?
Same. We got this Derrick Henry guy.
Man,
Man, my internet's killing me. Okay, so I missed that part, but let's jump. Let's jump into Commanders Eagles. Why don't you lead us off, Wes? Who are you taking here? What's the spread?
Spread's 5. It's still 5.5, I think. About 5 points. I think comes down how healthy Jalen Hurts is. He's trying to play off that he's not hurt. He looks like he's hurt.
He was definitely hurt the last game.
Yeah. Yeah. That when he got bent over his knee, we're just like, I was at my sister's and we were watching it. I was like, oh God, that looks bad.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, to me, the Eagles win easily. If he's not healthy, the Commanders win. Because the Commanders are hot. And I didn't have much faith in their defense. Their defense balled against the Lions. You know, they got something going. I don't know what it is. And I don't like rookie quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. And I'm not even saying Jaden Daniels is that good. But he's hot. You know, I'm still taking the Eagles.
It's hard not to take the Eagles in this situation. Eagles would be at home, obviously. They've been the better team compared to the Commanders all year. But you're right. Like there is some momentum that the Commanders are taking into this game. You have to stop Saquon if you're the Commanders. Like what you got to make Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm. And so that's what it comes down to, in my opinion, is will Hurts throw the ball enough? Will he, if the Commanders say we're going to stop the run, we're going to stack the box, can Jalen Hurts beat him, through the air? The problem with the Commanders is on offense, they're kind of sneaky with their players because they got good players on offense. Ertz is coming, showing up in the playoffs. McLaurin obviously we know is good, but Eckler and Robinson, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch there at running back as well. So if Jaden doesn't make mistakes, that's not an easy offense to deal with.
No.
Philly has this really great, front seven, and they're fast and they rush the quarterback well. That works great against Matthew Stafford. That may not work so good against Jaden Daniels because he can get out of the pocket. He can scramble. He can run the ball.
Yeah.
So I think the Commanders have a chance here. Oh man. I'm going to stay with Philly, though. I'm going to take Philly. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders win this game, but right now, to me, when you look at Philly, Saquon is just on a mission. And he has been all year. And so if they stick it out and they do stay with their game plan, they probably win.
the Commanders have no chance of winning this game. Here's why. It might be raining and snowing during the game.
Yeah.
Which will neutralize Jaden Daniels. And he won't be able to run around as much. And I think that's where Saquon Barkley comes in, wins the game. The Commanders beat the Eagles by 3. By 3. Let's remember, 3 points they beat them. Who was the quarterback for the Eagles in that game?
What's his name?
Kenny
Tanner
Pickett.
McKee?
It was Pickett.
Oh, it's Pickett.
Hurts got hurt in the first quarter, and Kenny Pickett almost beat the Commanders.
Yeah.
So that's why there's no chance. It's going to be the Eagles.
No.
So, Derek, you're basically betting or you're calling Kansas City and the Eagles.
Because I know that's what's going to happen because it's the one Super
Boo.
Bowl at the beginning. I was like, I just don't care. I don't even
Right.
know if I'll watch.
No, you will watch.
At the beginning of the playoffs, I was like, oh, maybe I'll, ask for the Monday after the Super Bowl off because I'll probably have a good time. And then I'm like, watched the Chiefs beat the Texans, and then I was like, I don't even want to watch
Well,
them.
what if it's Buffalo and the Commanders, though?
That'd be awesome. Buffalo Eagles would be fine. I don't care.
I mean, I got to be honest. I would like to see the Commanders win just
But
because they're not a team that anybody expected to be there.
Yeah,
right.
but it's like
Would
he's a
you
big
really want the Commanders to make it to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, though?
no. I want against the Bills.
The Bills,
I know, but
right?
if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, which team are you more confident of being
Oh,
able to overcome the Chiefs?
oh,
Right.
oh yeah. The Eagles could beat the Chiefs. They could beat them.
Well, it doesn't matter because Buffalo's going to beat them.
Oh, I hope, but I've I've seen
Yeah.
this movie over and over again. I know what's going to happen.
What about Buffalo and the Eagles? What do you think about that Super Bowl matchup?
Ooh.
That'll be a good one.
Well, here's the thing. I said this before. If Buffalo makes the Super Bowl, they can't lose. They cannot lose.
Because no team's gone 0-5, all right?
Well, here's the thing. No, like you cannot lose. You go to the Super Bowl, you have to win. So if Buffalo's in the Super Bowl, I'm taking Buffalo. They have to win. Their fan base, the whole freaking Buffalo area would sink. It would be like California, just sink in the sea. They
Do you
cannot.
imagine how crazy it would be, though, if you had Philly fan and Buffalo fan there?
Dude,
Oh
It
my
would.
gosh.
dude, we might. I'll
It might be a
drive.
Royal Rumble.
I'll just drive. We'll drive. I'll drive to New Orleans. We'll just go hang out.
You got Buffalo bringing the
Exactly.
tables. You got Philly, who's ECW
Dude.
country, so they're hardcore. It will
Oh,
be.
yeah. Yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl.
I want to
So-
live. I don't want to go near that Super Bowl.
Oh God, yeah. So
We're
we
too
got
old now to go to the between that.
Buffalo, Philly, and KC Philly. So all of us are going Philly. Derek's taking Kansas City. Westner taking Buffalo.
Yep.
So interesting weekend though. Still fun to watch, right? NFC Championship, AFC Championship. And then you get a break for the awesome Pro Bowl.
Dude, we're not going to talk about the football.
Yeah, we'll leave the Pro
Ever.
Bowl alone for now. Let's just get back into NFL news for a second here. So I guess the first obvious, Ben Johnson, to the Bears.
Pete Carroll, the Raiders.
So I mean, we don't know who's going to the Raiders, obviously, but what do you guys think about Ben Johnson to the Bears? Like, what's your opinion?
I'll let Wes go first.
No. I mean, hey, let's just leave the best offense in the NFL to go and coach Caleb Williams and who else? Like, good luck. Number one, Caleb Williams shouldn't have played it down for the Bears this year. It's not fair to him. And so he's got a lot of work to do, that offense. He better know what he's doing. So.
Well,
It's a good hire, but you better know what you're doing with Caleb Williams.
I think he understands you got to get the ball out of his hands quicker.
Oh,
So that's something Ben Johnson's always been good at. I mean, they got weapons, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Keenan Allen, is old and probably not coming back.
Well, they
Right. But
need
you got
better running
Azusa, you
backs
got
too.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, you still
They
got
need
DJ
better running
Moore.
backs. You run the football. Ben Johnson's a run the football guy first.
Well, maybe they'll
He
get
wants to run
Genty.
the ball.
Yeah, Ashton Genty, dude, going to the Bears.
Okay, so here's my thing. Logically, it was the right choice. I mean, well, think about it. This is what really got me mad is being a Raider fan is going into with the head coaching jobs. I had I was like, well, he's not gonna. Ben Johnson's going, Jags or the Bears, right? And then these stupid beat reporters and all these guys are like, Ben Johnson's going to the Raiders. Ben Johnson's going to the Raiders. It's been confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
What-
was what pissed me off because
It's like, oh yeah,
I
it's
was
going.
like,
I was like, you guys are high.
I was like, there's no. I'm like
No.
thinking, well, Ben Johnson's going to go where there's a quarterback and everything, and then and then these idiots get my hopes up. You jerks, because
You know,
what the point? I knew the Raiders didn't. We talked about like coaching. The Bears should be the number one place for Ben Johnson to go because they've had two freaking number one picks in 3 years, right? And then they traded one. I mean, come on, they should have more talent than the Raiders. But for these people to be like, "Oh no, it's a confirmed
yeah.
Brady's doing it, Brady's in it," and then to go from, "Well, we're getting Ben Johnson," to, "We're getting Mr. Pete Carroll, who's like 150 years old," because that's stability. It's like we want to have a stable franchise and stuff. So
You
you
think they're
hire
gonna
a
get
foolish.
Carroll? You think they're actually gonna hire him?
That's what I'm hearing. But
But
of
you also
course,
heard
I
Ben
heard Ben
Johnson was
Johnson.
going there. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, who was? So let me go and see who they interviewed. I think Aaron Glenn is going to the Jets, probably, right? Isn't that
Oh
what we've
yeah.
heard?
That's
Well,
probably.
he played there, so that's kind of special
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also coached the Saints.
Mike McCarthy's going to the Saints.
He thinks, yeah.
I heard Aaron Rodgers can go there too
Oh gosh, I thought Aaron Rodgers hates McCarthy.
because Derek Carr's done. So Derek Carr might go back to the Raiders.
There you go.
Oh gosh, and then
Look at that.
my favorite is and John Gruden's going to come back to the Raiders.
Wow. I mean,
Let me
Josh
find.
McDaniels going back to the Patriots.
Well, that's the only place he's ever been good.
he's an offensive coordinator, not a coach.
I know, but think about that. Well, Josh McDaniels, remember he was the OC at the Rams, and they sucked
Yeah.
too. In between leaving the Patriots, going to Denver, then he went to the Rams, and then he went back to the Patriots. So he's only ever been good as a Patriots OC.
Right. Well, and I mean, they get now with Vrabel, you gives them some balance, right?
No. I will not put any stock in the Patriots for another 30 years.
30?
Oh yeah. Because the universe tells you like they've been good for 20 years. That means they're gonna suck for 20 years.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to find who the Raiders have
I
'cause
think I think Vrabel was a good hire for them.
yeah.
And I think it's not terrible to bring back McDaniels, even though I'm not a huge fan. You got to do something to help Drake May. You can't just, be like, oh, we're gonna run the ball and play defense.
Oh yeah. So this is your candidates for the freaking Raiders, and this is why it's ridiculous. Aaron Glenn, who's probably going to the Jets or the Saints, right? Sala, Vance Joseph, Ron Rivera, and then Steve Spagnuolo. That's it.
Riverboat Ron, dude.
That's it, though. It's like, dude, and Carroll.
Right.
It's like you haven't interviewed Cohen. You requested Todd Monken from the Ravens, but haven't interviewed him. This is why the Raiders are such a dysfunctional and horrible franchise. They were like thinking they were going to get Ben Johnson, so they didn't care about anyone else, and they just is like, oh, we're going to interview a bunch of old retreads instead of like actually trying to get a fresh, good coach to
Right.
go for years.
Man, with that list, like Pete Carroll sounds like the top of the
It
list.
is. That's what's scary. It's like you have to take Pete Carroll.
Oh, but you know what? Pete Carroll is a young 150 years old. He's
Oh.
He's like the dude from Big Short Water Giant. Like, you know, old. He's 20
Or
years
he's
old.
like blue from
He's
old
got
school.
green eyes.
My boy, blue.
yeah, you know, that gum, chewing that gum keeps him young. Uh, so Patriots, obviously Vrabel, Bears, Ben Johnson. Sounds like Raiders maybe Pete Carroll. Is McCarthy on the move?
I thought, well, the Saints,
I think he's going to Saints.
and
I think
then
Rodgers is going to go there too.
Aaron Glenn to the Jets, Kellen Moore to the
Those
Cowboys.
are the Cowboys. Who's going to Jacksonville?
Probably Cohen.
That makes sense. Regional.
So what do you think about the Cowboys and
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore? Yeah.
The problem with the Cowboys is it doesn't really matter who you get as your head coach, as Jerry Jones is still there calling all the shots. And that's, you know what I mean? It's like usually you're going to get head coaches to go there, like McCarthy, and, like they had Jason. So is Kellen Moore going to be another Jason Garrett? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, he's going to be, yeah. That's what I was about to say is that's what he is. He's going to be another Jason Garrett. He's another yes man. Hey, he's an offensive coordinator with Dak Prescott. You already know what Dak Prescott is going to give you. He's a great regular season quarterback. He sucks in the playoffs. Oh.
Dak Prescott for me, I don't know. Like, how long can you just keep rolling with him though?
No. They can't
They
get rid
just
of him
paid him,
now.
right?
You're going
He got him
to,
for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, he's in a huge contract now.
well, they can't get him. They can get rid of him next year because you can't get him this year because he has $100 million dead cap on him.
Maybe the
Next year,
Cowboys
you
are going
can-
all in on Arch.
That's a big contract. I've
Dude,
seen them
we
looking at
all want
Genty
Art.
though too.
No, I would rather have Arch. I would rather wait 1 or 2 more years for Arch, just because.
Dude, the Raiders here's the thing, the Raiders will suck for a few more years, then Arch will come out and the Raiders will win a last game, meaningless game, and someone else will get the first
Yeah.
pick. That's what they'll do.
Pete Carroll be like, I'm the coach. Like he's gonna be seen out. He's like, no, dude, fuck these people.
Because I know someone put on there,
Mark Davis sucks.
it was like, hey, Raider fans, good job on being so happy about those 2 meaningless wins at the end of the year that cost you a quarterback, which cost you probably either Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen. Because
Right.
if you're like Ben Johnson, you're like, okay, I can have Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, I might go to the Raiders.
Yeah, you need that. He's got to have a quarterback, like you said. But the Raiders' future doesn't look great without a quarterback.
No, and you got Max Crosby, you're like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
Right.
No, he doesn't want to be here. No way. Why would he want to be here? This is stupid. What is he doing? How many games has he missed, by the way, in his whole career? Like
just
none.
the last few games.
Yeah.
Because they were already out of the, and they just was like, oh, I'll get my surgery now.
Dumb. You need to win.
What about Kirk Cousins?
Boo. There's a CFL. He can play for the Toronto Argonauts.
Maybe the Browns.
No.
Oh God. And he'll go in and sign what? Another $300 million contract guaranteed.
Like he just gave Deshaun Watson all this money. He didn't give this guy money.
But you have to do something with Kirk Cousins, right?
Well, he's still under contract.
I know, but I mean, you got to trade him or something.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you can, as Atlanta, keep him.
But here's the thing, I don't know, like if I'm the Raiders or the Giants or the Browns or the Titans, I don't really want Kirk Cousins. Because what is he really gonna, it's not, we're not talking Jaden Daniels here. It's not someone who's gonna rejuvenate your franchise. We saw it. With the Falcons, he got benched for a rookie.
Yeah. But he could go to a team, that has potential and, make a playoff run.
I hope
The
that's not
Falcons
the
had
Raiders.
potential and he got benched. Remember at the beginning of the year, everyone was like, oh, Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, they're going to
Yeah.
go to the Super Bowl.
Well, Falcons still have coaching problems. Raheem Morris is not the answer.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
You're
with them.
bad. You're a bad team if you can't make it out of the NFC South.
Yeah, especially with the talent they have.
It's the freaking NFC South. Like,
That's Baker's division now.
I want to get back to one thing because, like, when Ben Johnson was talking about the Raiders, they were saying the Raiders, and he had Bears fans all mad, butthurt, and they're like, "Why would he want to go to a division where they have
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
the Chiefs?" And I'm like, "But he goes to the Bears, who are in a division with the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. I understand Caleb Williams, but how would that rationale make any sense?"
Right. Although the NFC North got dominated in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they said the first time in history that 3 teams from one division lost every game.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Well, it would have happened again if, there wasn't some questionable calls in the Chiefs game.
Right, because you'd have had Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs. But that was brutal for all 3 of those teams to lose.
They lost badly, too.
Yeah, handily.
Well,
It was
and I
like-
mean, if you look at it, we knew the Vikings overplayed there.
They're overachieved.
And then the Packers underachieved, right? I would think so.
But Jordan Love played like crap the whole year.
Yeah. And we knew that was going to happen. We knew Jordan Love would play like crap. And then I think the Lions, it was just injuries finally caught
They
up.
ran out of gas,
Yeah.
Defensively.
The Lions were a surprise. Like you said, I picked Minnesota to lose and Packers to lose, so that was pretty obvious. It's still, though, it doesn't say a lot for your division when you all 3 lose, one and done.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. It's still a strong division. The Vikings, they may have some work to do, though.
Well, the Vikings, they only lost to the Lions and the Rams.
Well, think about it. They have a decision to make at quarterback. Do you trade Sam Darnold?
Darnold's a free agent.
He's free
They have
agent.
to either franchise him or re-sign him.
Yeah,
Or,
it's gonna cost
Pete
him a lot of
Carroll might
money.
pick him up.
It's going to cost them a lot of money.
What about Darnold going to, say, the Titans or the Saints or
Why would Darnold want to do that?
well, for a big contract,
Yeah.
if you're not staying, right? J.J. McCarthy was drafted for a reason.
If you were the Vikings, would you sign Darnold? Because you just re-signed O'Connell, right?
Right.
Are
Well,
you-
he's going to want $250 million, right?
Yeah. So would you re-sign Darnold for whatever and trade McCarthy because you don't really know what you got in McCarthy?
Yeah.
Or do you roll the dice with McCarthy and let Darnold go? Or do you franchise tag Darnold?
Yeah, I would franchise tag him, play him one more year, and let him go. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
That's probably what they'll do.
What if you can get a first round pick for McCarthy?
I don't know who's giving up a first round pick for McCarthy, but I mean that'd be a good trade. But then you're still stuck though, because you're going to need to replace Darnold regardless.
Right, but what if you're the Giants? You're not going to get Sanders. You're not going to get Ord. Are you going to give up that pick for JJ McCarthy? If you're the Vikings, do you say no to what the fifth overall pick?
Oh, not yet. The fifth, of course. I'm taking the fifth because you drafted him later than that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you would have to be like, okay, Darnold's our guy.
Yeah. Well, that's the case where now you're Darnold for 2 to 3 years. Here's the thing: you franchise him and you grow McCarthy behind him, right? And you build him up, and you get one more year at a Darnold, and then McCarthy's ready.
Right. Well, that's what I would do. Because then you can also do like, well, if Darnold you realize isn't it, then you can bench him and put McCarthy in.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of moves there, coaching wise. That should be interesting. Just kind of circling back to college football one more time. So Quinn Ewers decides to go out.
Uh,
What pick is he going to be?
like, is he any? I think he'll be a free agent.
He's not going to get picked at all.
He would be, I think he's the
Yeah.
fifth quarterback taken.
Fifth quarterback off the board.
Yeah.
Great. I just hope he doesn't go to the Raiders. So
I heard
sure- I'm
Carl
sure-
likes
I'm
him
sure-
a lot.
I love, I'm sure he's a swell guy, but he's not. He's like Mac Jones to me. Yeah.
He is. He's the next coming of Mac Jones. Does he have a future in the NFL?
Yeah. For like the worst team, yeah. He's starting quarterback for fucking Carolina.
Well, they got
Bryce Young?
Well, they're gonna get rid. Yeah.
No, they like Bryce Young now.
All right.
You just got to
back
sit
up
him for a
right now.
while.
It'll be starting for the Colts because they'll give up on Richardson.
Oh, geez.
Dude, did you hear this stuff they're talking about? Dude, the Colts are a mess. I don't understand it. They're actually not that bad, but yeah.
They were close. They were in contention.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they really made a mistake with Jonathan Taylor by, making him mad with the contract stuff. Because if you didn't do that, he was on his way, he still is. John Taylor's still one of the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, yes.
So you made a mistake there by kind of, not saying, hey, we believe in you, you're a
Well,
guy.
But here's the thing: is Anthony Richardson their guy? How do they feel about him? I heard all this stuff about people are upset about his work ethic, and like they're not serious. I'm like, what is going on there?
He's got so much talent, but he needs so much development.
Well, it was a weird thing because I heard when he was at Florida that his work ethic was great. So I don't know if it's someone trying to spin a narrative.
But Buckner approached him. This is the rumor. He approached him. He's like, I only re-signed because of you. Because I have faith in you, but you need to take this more seriously. It was Buckner that said that. So.
But is this from Pat McAfee?
No, it's not. Yeah, Pat McAfee. The douche.
For me, the jury's still out on Richardson because he's in the position where it can go bad or good based on, the next year to 2 years of his development. Because he doesn't have the accuracy. He needs to, get a lot better at reading defenses, putting the ball where it should be. he's got all the athletic ability. He's got his dude. He could throw the ball over a mountain. But that doesn't make you a great quarterback.
Here's my thing with Anthony Richardson, which you guys know how much I love him, but isn't he just Tim Tebow?
I mean, kind of.
Seriously.
Except he can throw the ball 50 yards further.
Yeah, but it's
You
still
just called
like
Anthony Richardson Tim Tebow.
it's still accuracy, right?
Yeah, it's an
And
accuracy
he still
problem.
can run the ball, and he's still athletic. Hello, Tebow won a playoff game. Seriously, he's won. I mean,
Yeah, I just think that you have to develop him right, is the problem, right? And so if you don't put him in good positions to gain confidence and you don't help him,
Nobody can
with
develop
his
a hero.
accuracy, he's not gonna pan out.
well, I just get tired of it. It's like, you know what? You know his strengths and his weaknesses. Why don't you actually put a game plan around that?
Well, just to back one thing up about what's going to happen with the Bears and Ben Johnson. That's what Ben Johnson have to do. Ben Johnson is going to have to say, "Hey, Caleb, this is what you can't do," which there are things he can't do, but we're going to utilize what you can do. We're going to play to your strengths. And honestly, Caleb could be a Pro Bowl quarterback, in my opinion, two times. But that's about it. You got to be able to throw from the pocket. And can Anthony Richardson can sit in the pocket and throw the ball? Yes or no?
I don't know if he can.
Well, that's fine, but other quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl they can't do that. But you need to play to his strengths.
Yeah.
Don't change what he is. Anthony Richardson is an athlete. He could throw the ball over a mountain. Let's cut out all this 15-yard crap. You have Jonathan Taylor as your running back.
Yeah.
Okay, you need 15 yards? Give it to him.
Well, you have great play action.
And then throw the ball deep.
Yeah, you got good, with Pittman and Downs, you got good weapons, to throw the ball to. But that is the one thing about Anthony Richardson is that 10 to 15-yard range, he's not good at.
Not yet. It's too
I don't
early to
know.
tell.
What he needs is Luke Getsy. So he could just throw a bunch of bubble screens.
Bubble screen. No, bubble screens to your slowest player, like your tight end.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Mo Alley Cox running the bubble screens.
Yeah.
That's what Luke Getsy would do. Nobody needs Luke Getsy. Let's just get that straight.
I heard
He's
Ben
going to be in the
Johnson's bringing him
CFL.
back.
Or no, USFL. Or whatever they call it.
Wow. Well, man, so this weekend, so coming up, we got conference championships. See, go to the Super Bowl. But then, if you think about it, now that the college football's over, coming to the end of the NFL, like we're right at the end of football season here.
March Madness, baby.
And when we go to March Madness, you have to. I don't know how much you guys been watching, but this is the time of year you got to ramp up what you're watching.
Oh, I know.
Get ready for March Madness.
I told my dad, I was like, "You're just on the computer playing games. Your job is to watch college basketball.
Yeah,
like all day, all night.
Gators, baby.
Gators. You're doing research. Tell me.
Yeah, it's going
to be
to be interesting
March
because I've been trying to pay attention a little bit more to get prepared, and it's a pretty wide open field, I think.
Well, it always is. But then there's Cooper Flag.
Yeah, he's good.
He's
good.
real good. But I'll never depend on one player.
Right.
ever again in March Madness. And that's the ruse. It's like, oh yeah, he's the best player in the country. And what happens all the time in March Madness? They shut him down one game. It's not enough.
I think it's now SEC dominance has moved to basketball.
Mississippi. Have you seen Mississippi play?
Yeah.
They're
Well, and
good.
Alabama.
Yeah, well, Alabama's always good.
Man, Alabama looks tough.
Yeah.
Even though I think they just lost, though, right?
What?
I think Alabama just lost.
Auburn is number 1 in the nation.
Oh, they are.
Alabama's 4, Florida's 5, Tennessee is 6, Kentucky is 9.
Yeah, they've got 5 teams in the top 10.
Yeah.
And
then
you got
4
Texas
more
A&M,
teams in the top
Mississippi
25.
State, yeah, Missouri are all
ranked.
Yeah.
Mississippi. Ole Miss is 16. Yeah, so they got one.
They have 9 teams in the top 25. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, some teams right there. So they do have some good dominance going on, but Big Ten, with Oregon playing better, in the top 15, they got a few up there as well. So they got 6 teams in the top 25.
They're all at the bottom, though, really. What you have Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Oregon, Purdue, Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State looks pretty good.
Yeah, they're 8th.
Big 12, not as great as they have been recently.
But Iowa State is 3rd.
Yeah, Iowa State is they've won a lot of games in a row.
You know what's crazy? You know who's not ranked?
Kentucky?
No, Kentucky is in the top 10. Well, actually, there's 2 teams.
Oh, North Carolina's not ranked.
Yeah, North Carolina and Gonzaga are both not ranked.
No, Gonzaga was ranked 16 the last time I saw it. Yeah, they keep taking losses.
Yeah.
I'll never have faith in Gonzaga again. I'm done.
Well, nobody liked Derek's take that Boise State was Gonzaga of the college football.
One person did.
Who's the one person?
I thought that was a good take, actually. I thought it was a good one.
Well, no, that's true. They are gone. They are.
Well, what was it? It was because it was a Penn State guy that was all pissy about it?
I'm sure.
Where are they at now? Where's Penn State at?
Basically, all we get are comments is about teams that we say aren't going to win or something. And it's not like we say bad things, but then they're like, you're an idiot because...
Yeah. You're an idiot because I graduated from Penn State. It's like, I don't really care. Like,
no, well, people love to show that you were wrong, and so a lot of times the comments after the fact.
Dude, that's all I've been the whole year is wrong. Except Jane Daniels.
It was a rough year for me for picks. I got to tell you.
Well, that's the thing is, why weren't you doing all these things when I was getting all these picks right? When it comes to college football playoff, I get everything wrong and I get yelled at.
Steve, you gotta listen. Dude, I had a dream last night that Cleveland was in the playoffs.
That's probably the
woke up and I thought of you. I was like,
that was the worst take ever.
And I was like, Steve is right. And I was like, oh, shoot. Real.
I don't know. If you go back to that one, me and Wes, when you said that, we're like, I don't know about that one, Steve.
But you got to remember, Cleveland made the playoffs last year, had the best defense in the league. Like, it was a little unexpected, but it's also Cleveland. So that's the problem with going with Cleveland. It's still Cleveland at the end of the day. So that's a rough one. But, I'm like, I thought the Chargers would do better in the playoffs, and look what happened to them. Justin Herbert comes out and throws 4 picks.
Four
So,
interceptions. Like, what are you doing?
you can't get them all right, but I also said Notre Dame would do well, and they did. So, you
Well, I
take
mean,
what you can get.
we did okay, but it's like,
He's saying make it to the
Yeah, like I
finals.
said that at the beginning of the playoffs is that they would go.
And then you convinced me about Notre Dame, and then I was stupidly picked them to win the national championship.
Because you're mad. I could tell you're like, fuck these people. So mad. I was like,
I was because I said that Notre Dame had to weather the onslaught of Ohio State at the
Right.
beginning, and they didn't.
They did. They
No.
did not.
No, and ultimately, like I said, I was disappointed in Freeman, but I think this is the problem. People get down on the 150-year-old Pete Carroll coaches, but those guys don't falter in the big moments because they've been there before.
Okay, Super Bowl against the Patriots. Let's not run the ball with Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah.
That's not his best moment, but he also won a Super Bowl, so let's give him that.
Yeah, well, that he didn't have to think in that Super Bowl. I mean, Peyton Manning gave it to him.
Dude, it snapped the ball over Peyton Manning's head.
But in general, right?
That's a wrap.
So you take these guys that have been around coaching forever, the Andy Reid's, the Bill Belichick's, these type of coaches, Mike Tomlin's, like they have a head on them, on their shoulders, where for me, it looked like Freeman got caught in a moment, in a big moment, in a big game, and didn't make the best decisions.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wes, would you rather have Pete Carroll or Marcus Freeman as the Raiders' next coach?
Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, until he wins the last game of the year and you don't get the number one pick, and then you guys are gonna
no,
let's go kill Marcus Freeman.
Well, yeah, you're gonna send Marcus Freeman. Hey, who's your quarterback? Aiden O'Connell. Who's your backup? Ritter. It's like, oh, thanks.
No, it's Minshew.
Who's our running back? Oh, we don't have a running back.
Yeah, we don't have one of those.
Yeah.
Who's your receiver? We traded him to the Jets.
And that's
to be fair, the Raiders do have Brock Bowers, and then Jacoby Myers did have 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers.
He was the only receiver in the NFL that didn't drop a pass last year, too.
Yeah.
Well,
plus they've got second most cap space in the NFL. So,
but who's going to want to sign with them?
Well, they got Christian Wilkins last year
with 150-year-old Pete Carroll as coach.
Yeah. But here's the thing: it's like, let's say you have what, the freaking 6th pick overall, right?
Hey, they interviewed like 7 people. That doesn't mean he's gonna be coach. Robert Saleh might be our coach.
No, I think Robert Saleh's going back to the Niners.
Like DC or
yeah, the defensive coordinator, because they already offered him a huge contract.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Saleh was a Rooney Rule.
Right. They had to interview him.
Yeah. And then I think
what about Brock Purdy's extension? Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
I don't know, Steve. You're the Brock Purdy fan.
They're gonna have to. Here's the thing. It's just like they're gonna have to extend him. They don't have a choice. They don't have another quarterback. They're not going to draft anybody. There's nobody in free agency. They have to extend him. They're going to have to eat that contract.
They have.
I mean, that's going to be what, $250 million as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where, and that's the issue is they had that. Their window's closing because they had that opportunity of having what Mr. Relevant is your starting quarterback. So you could pay Christian McCaffrey, you could pay Ayuk, you could pay Debo.
I would tell every rookie quarterback that came into my freaking team, I said, hey, you got 4 years. You win me a Super Bowl, I'll pay you. You don't win me a Super Bowl, sorry. That's that. And honestly, I guarantee you next 5 years, these owners are going to have the same philosophy because you have to, because you cannot pay these guys what they want and have a team that's a winning team. Yeah.
So is quarterback going to turn into the same problem that running backs have?
No.
Nobody's going to want to sign them to these.
No, because everyone's always going to be desperate for quarterbacks.
No, quarterback. You have to have a quarterback. That's why San Francisco is going to pay Purdy. They don't want to pay him. They don't have a choice. They're going to pay the money.
Because for every Purdy, you got Desmond Ritter.
Yeah.
Or you got Sam Howell.
You had to say
Cody
Pickett,
Pickett.
right?
Yeah, Kenny Pickett. You got what's the
Kenny Pickett. Yeah.
The backup for the Packers that me and Wes thought was gonna be good.
Oh, he is good.
He actually is. Once he went to the Packers,
Dude,
Willis.
These Packer fans
Yeah.
are like, we want
Malik
to see
Willis.
him start.
Malik Willis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Malik was playing good. He's like, we want Malik, not Jordan Love.
He actually was.
They should have.
He looked horrible for the
He was
Titans.
efficient.
They should have just left Willis in all year. I hate Jordan Love though, so that's the problem.
So you want Jordan Love playing, Wes.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so well, I mean that's just these, the signings and stuff coming up. That's going to be an interesting part of the offseason along with drafts, free agency. Just kind of see where these moves happen and how these contracts play out for quite a few people out there.
Well, and you look at it, the Texans, the Commanders. If you draft the right quarterback, your team all of a sudden is good.
Right.
And then if you look, I mean, Bryce Young looks a lot better. I think Caleb Williams gets a lot of heat.
Maybe Bryce Young goes to the Raiders.
I think no, he played too well at the end.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Drake May, he looked decent. Penix looked good. Knicks, right? Got the Broncos to the playoffs. So
Yeah, you really have to draft the right guy, get that good 3-4 years out of him. I mean, I kind of agree with Wes in the idea though that, go after the guy you want and then say, hey, you've got this 4 or 5 year period to prove it.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we can't pay you. I'm sorry. We have a team. You want to prove your ability. How many Super Bowl winning quarterbacks won in their third year? Dude, Joe Namath won his fifth year. You go right down the line. Brady won in his third year. It's like,
yeah, but are you really going to say, sorry, we're going to get rid of you, Josh Allen, because you haven't won a Super Bowl in your first 5 years?
yeah, because I trade him to the Raiders.
Trade with the Raiders.
Well, it's like
that's a good idea.
Hey,
Dude, you know what I'm
Peyton
saying?
Manning, you haven't won a Super Bowl in the first 5 years, right?
I think Josh Allen will look really good in a Raiders uniform.
Yeah, well, that won't happen.
Yeah, the size of the contracts is just getting out of control.
No, it's out of control. It's just like when I went and got a haircut yesterday. It's like $25. Like, really? To cut my hair 4 inches?
Well,
Like,
that's
it's
binomics, Wes.
I'm like, kidding me? I go to McDonald's. It's like I ordered 2 sausage cheese McMuffins. It's like $9.
What?
I go, really?
Well, you got 2 problems there. Is you're getting overcharged and you're eating McDonald's.
Yeah.
I took the buns off. I ate it
But
plain.
but if
I'm going keto.
well, so Trevor Lawrence is a good example here, though, right? So you sign him to a huge contract. What are you getting out of him?
Did. Well, you got a nice game in London or Berlin or whatever they freaking do. That's about it. He's got some nice hair.
Yeah, he's gonna do Head and Shoulders commercials with Troy Polamalu.
Well,
I'm
like you
surprised
said,
he hasn't.
Didn't Jordan Love just get paid too? And
Right.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott got paid, huge contract. Yeah,
No,
Jordan
no, no,
Love.
no. We have to talk about Dak for a second because he said this 2 days ago. He said, "I take full responsibility for the team." I go, "Of course you did, because you got paid multi-millions of dollars for doing nothing. Of course you're gonna take a responsibility. You know, this is insanity. Like he's like apologizing to the fan base because he knows the fan base hates him. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I just took all this money. I take full responsibility."
But isn't it Jerry Jones's fault for waiting to the last second all the time with Dak Prescott? It's happened twice now. Or if he would have signed him earlier, because what happens is that he waits and then Dak has a great year.
Yeah, and then he had to pay him.
Well, we were talking about here's the new NFL is Dak he deserves his contract based on the value of the team he's playing for. Think about it. There's not a more valuable team in the NFL than the Cowboys, and they sell all sorts of merchandise. So Dak goes to Jerry's like, "Hey, I'm worth this much because look at the franchise." I mean, there are little kids in the stands with hoodies on that have a cowboy logo. That's merchandise. It's all about merchandise, you know?
Well, they're the number one valued team in the
But
NFL.
here's the thing. That's all that matters. So Dak's like, "Hey, I deserve to get paid this because I'm your quarterback," you know? And you
And that's, talking
can't
about
dispute that.
merchandise. And that's why the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl again. Taylor Swift brings in $330 million.
You guys want to see the Chiefs Hallmark movie? You ready to see that?
Oh God.
What did you guys have for dinner? Oh, is your stomach okay?
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. It's the trilogy. This is the one. This is that game where at the end of the game, the confetti is coming down and Kelsey proposes to Taylor
Oh,
Swift.
dude,
God, I'm gonna throw up.
if that happens, I might have to quit football. That's crazy, dude. If they win three, so they
Okay.
three-peat, right? And
Really?
then they do the wedding proposal.
And then Caitlin Clark's there to be like, "What is
Dude,
Caitlin
Wes,
Clark
you're obsessed with the Caitlin Clark here.
No, dude, I was watching the game and I'm like,
Oh, I
Caitlin
saw it.
hugging Caitlin Clark. I go, "What the F's going on here?"
Well, and here's the thing. If it is and the Eagles make it to you know what? Eagles, bring Angel Reese to go and kneecap Caitlin Clark on the sidelines.
Oh, that's great. They need the extra drama in the NFL, apparently. They're prepping us.
Now we're the bad guys, Derek.
Uh, they're prepping you for the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark showdown in the Super Bowl. Be a halftime special.
Yep.
All right, well
1-on-1.
let's wrap up there. So good stuff. Got a big weekend coming up. We'll see how we do. And yeah, so any comments that you guys want to let us know coming up here once we wrap up football season, you know, what you want to hear. Of course, we got March Madness coming. But yeah, that's about it for sports, man. It's a disappointing time of year.
Talk about, I want to talk about my
Yeah,
evil empire, the Los Angeles Dodgers, where
yeah,
everyone now is all mad that like they're spending money and it's like it's not fair. I'm sorry, the Yankees have been doing it for decades.
yeah. Well, they got to win a championship.
They just won.
Well, that's what I'm
Sorry, talk
saying.
about the Yankees.
Once you win it, now you can just come out and be the next Yankees.
That's right. That's what they're going for.
Yeah.
When someone go repeat.
Yep. Well, what you get when you get like the 5 or 6 in 10 years,
Yeah.
then you're on a roll.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.